these content clinic sessions. And then Professor Davis is on the phone, and she will be able to also speak with you a little bit after my overview. So hopefully you can see my screen that says NSG-301 Content Clinics, and it has my name on it. So first of all, we initiated these content clinics this past spring, and we have grown the content clinic offerings and each semester. So this semester we are offering content clinics for every course within the every didactic course within the nursing program. So this particular session will be always on Mondays at 1 o'clock, and then if we find that there is additional need for additional sessions, then there can be some collaboration as to when those additional sessions are offered. So for right now, the sessions are scheduled at this time, and then are going to be available to everybody after the conclusion of this session. Within 24 hours, they'll be available by recording for anybody who wants to listen in. So expectations for these content clinics going forward will be that the content that's covered will be consistent with what's going on in your classroom within a 1 to 2 week period. So for courses that have exams, a lot of this would be directed towards some exam preparation. For courses without exams, it would be focused specifically on the types of content and some of the areas that cause students to struggle throughout the semester over semester. There's just some content that is particularly challenging, and some content that can get you can really benefit from additional guidance. Sometimes if you hear one faculty member share an explanation a different way, that might help bring some light to some of the content that you're learning in your courses. So throughout your semester, this semester, as well as in the next 3 semesters after this one, you will be really enlightened, I think, by participating in these content clinic sessions. So what you can expect is that there will be perhaps a little bit of a different perspective depending on whether or not your faculty member is the one leading the session or not. Sometimes there will just be simply reinforcement of information that you've already learned, but you just need a little bit of additional help understanding. And sometimes you really, you get it. And so it's important, though, to listen in case there's something else that is being covered that you don't get. So, it's really, there might be some sessions where every single piece of it is information that you need help with, and some may not. So if you have specific questions regarding content, you are welcome that you would like covered in the session that maybe is something you really find you want to make sure is covered during this content clinic. You can email that information to me in advance of the session. I would say the day before, preferably, so that I can collaborate with the faculty member and get the information to the faculty member who will be covering the content. Or you can also communicate with your faculty member, whom you should be communicating with on a regular basis anyway, when you have questions regarding the content that you're learning. So this is additional support. These content clinics, as I mentioned, are for all the didactic courses, but you also have office hour opportunities to meet with faculty members. So each of the faculty members would host specific office hours when they are available for questions. So this is not your only opportunity outside of the classroom to seek help. It is just one of the additional pieces of assistance we're able to offer. And then also we have open lab times that will be scheduled or are scheduled at each site. So that's an important part to take, piece of information for you, skills lab times that would be available for practice and such, that you can take advantage of as well. So let's see, before I turn this over to Professor Davis to talk with you for a little bit, I wanted to just let you know also that your feedback is welcome. So you can, give your feedback directly to the Dean if you'd like, Dr. Melanie Logue, and hopefully you all have her contact information, but it's up here on the screen, melanie.logue@gcu.edu. The Arizona director is Sheila Searles, and her email address is sheila.searles, Sheila, S-H-E-I-L-A, .searles, S-E-A-R-L-E-S, @gcu.edu. And then the New Mexico director is Heidi Orrick, and her email is heidi.orehek@gcu.edu. And so I'm going to turn it over now to Professor Davis, who may have some additional comments that she would like to share with you.
Hi, everyone. This is the Content Clinic for 301, and I am the assistant professor that teaches this at the main campus. I'm assuming we are from all the different campuses. And just kind of a really quick overview, you should have learned in class last week about our 12 different topics that we're going to be covering that are giving you a basis of different concepts like the history of nursing, where did nursing come from, what are the legal requirements of our profession, what are our professional standards, what does the nurse do, who is the nurse, what is the professional role, how do you become a professional nurse, including critical thinking, clinical judgments, the nursing process, looking at different theories related to nursing and then nursing theories themselves, looking at ethical principles related to nursing, health policy and economic issues and health promotion, looking at vulnerable populations and violence, evidence-based practice, and lastly, the future of nursing and the art and science of nursing. So we have 12 topics that we're going to be covering in the 15 weeks. As you know, we do not have, you probably have known by now that we have no exams in this course. So that usually is a big sigh of relief from all the students. But I do always want to encourage everyone to still be attentive in class, be engaged in class, because concepts that we begin introducing at this in this course really are fundamental, really are foundational to the rest of your nursing. So I don't have anything particularly planned. We've just had 1 week, so we have not gotten very far in the content. So let me just ask, what do you want to know about? What questions do you have? What's still confusing? We do have the textbook, and it's now the 6th edition of our textbook, Conceptual Foundations in Nursing. And then throughout each topic, there are additional readings that need to be done before coming to class. Really is you'll get much more out of your class times if you come having read the assigned readings beforehand. So Stephanie, can you open it up for questions?
Sure. Students can send in a question using the feature that there's a little hand. You can raise your hand to ask a question, and then I can unmute you if you have entered the PIN. And I apologize, I just found out that the wrong screen was showing, so hopefully now you can see the Content Clinic slide that I had up on the screen.
And while we're waiting for people, while we're waiting for people to ask questions, I'll just kind of overview. You have your major benchmark paper is a nursing profession paper, which is essentially writing about a nurse leader. And I encourage you in selecting that person that you want to write about, that it's someone who actually contributed to the profession of nursing. There's many women who were nurses that were outstanding, but someone who actually was involved in promoting nursing itself. That's very helpful in answering to that rubric for that assignment. That's your paper. It's coming up in just a few weeks, and that is the benchmark APA paper for this course. I think it's 750 to 1,000 words. So you need to probably be looking at who you're writing about and starting research that person. You also at this point should be looking to see what professional meeting you're going to attend, and of course the State Board of Nursing are always a really excellent choice. And I've let my students know that even though they only meet every other month, it's for a full day on a Thursday and a Friday, that they only needed to attend like the morning session. of one of those days to meet that requirement. And you do need to go to a professional meeting versus an in-service or an educational meeting. You should not have to be paying to attend a professional meeting. So if there's an expense or a cost to attend the meeting, it's really not what you're looking for. You want more a professional organization business meeting. And those are usually free of charge unless maybe there's a meal. There might be a nominal cost. You really should not be paying to go to those meetings. And you are writing a summary of that meeting, which is due near the end of October. So those things you need to be looking at right now, identifying what meeting you're going to, start looking at writing this paper, and then you have your first journal entry will be due shortly as well. So I can't see if questions have come up, Stephanie.
So far, there are no questions.
Okay. I think because we're very early in the course and everyone's had a whole 4 hours at kind of being able to see what is involved in the course.
Okay, I do have one question, and it says, what do the in-class quizzes cover?
They're from the text. They're from the readings, assigned readings from the textbook, and only the textbook. They're not from the additional readings.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions to submit? Okay, well, if we don't have any questions, we can conclude the content clinic for today, and then we will be sure to, I do have another question that came in. Oh, here we go. All right, we have two questions. The first one is, would you show us an example of how to select a professional meeting?
Okay, in your syllabus, in your course content, under your study materials, there is, or your task, I believe, it does have, you can click and it says identifying a professional meeting. And that shows you different options and has different links to go to different professional organizations. So that is why, because it is a little tricky, that's why we ask the students to identify what meeting they plan to attend to and send that information to the professor of their course in the individual form. And the professor can help determine if that, yes, is something that is a professional meeting or not. So there's a lot of different choices. Like if you want to be, if you're interested in pediatrics or trauma nursing, if you can attend a professional meeting of an organization that is that type of nursing, then that's great. Like I said, the State Board of Nursing meetings work for everyone because that is our regulatory body. It's kind of like nurse court and very interesting. And that is definitely a professional meeting. And if you want to do something else, then yes, you have the freedom to, but you have to send that information, what you have found. You're going to have to do some digging, some researching online and find out what is available in your area. That's the time perhaps you can go. Lots of times there's meetings held in the evenings at different hospitals around the valley. And there was another question. Did I answer that one?
I believe so, but if not, we will we'll find out. So one of the other questions is, if we cannot attend the Tuesday and Thursday meetings, where else can we apply?
It's Thursday and Fridays on the State Board of Nursing for Arizona. I don't know about New Mexico. Like I said, there are links in the syllabus to some other examples of organizations that possibly. There's the Arizona State Board, there's the Arizona Nurses Association, there's many other organizations within nursing, like rehab nurses, trauma nurses, peds nurses, oncology nurses. There's many different other organizations, but there is a list to get you started on in the syllabus.
Okay, thank you. All right, there's another question, and that is, can you expound more about journal writings, topics? Is it in Word, or do we need a journal?
No, all of the assignments, the journal writing is a assignment that goes into the Dropbox. There are 4 journal entries for this course. The first one is the one coming up, and each journal entry is usually answering one question. Okay, and let me see, I'm trying to find the one for this first question. Okay, the first journal entry, it says you're supposed to choose one of the topics. So you have a choice in the first one what you want to talk to. It is only a 150 to 200 word. So it's only like a paragraph. It's usually less than a full page. And you just expound and kind of answer the question like you might like a discussion question. So you have, sometimes there's readings that you do, and then you answer based on the reading. One of them later on, there's actually a short documentary that you watch, and then you respond to the question based on that. So it's only 150 to 200 words. Write it on a Word document, and then save it into into your Dropbox. And for my students, I ask them for each journal entry to add to the first one, so it's like a revolving document, but your professor may have their own preferences for that. And it's not an APA, but if you do citations, which you likely should, those do need to be APA. It's not a Turnitin thing because each one is too short. So at the end of the course, then there's an option to use Turnitin when all 4 of them have been put together. So does that answer that question?
All right. I'm not sure. I do have someone that there was a follow-up question to the sessions, identifying which one to go to. Someone is asking if we could show on the screen an example of how to select a professional meeting. So I don't know if that might be something
I don't know if there's nothing that I can put up on the screen about that. It's just I would advise going to your syllabus, and when it has selecting a professional meeting, and they give you some ideas in there. I do recommend going to the State Board of Nursing if at all possible. I know one of my classes, one of my cohorts has classing that time, so we need to look at things. And then that's something too you might work out with your individual professor, but that's usually the preference because it's such good meeting. But under your topic 2, and it has, oh no, it's not really under there. I mean, I only have one screen in my office, so I guess I can go off this and be able to find it quicker than I am going through my hard copy. So actually, I have to sign in to the Cloud Classroom to be able to find that for you exactly where it is. But the information is in the syllabus with some links and so forth. And like I said, if you have to pay for something, then that is not a professional meeting. That is like an in-service, something that nurses working in that field are getting additional information about and education about, but that's not the professional meeting. I know that there's different, like there's a Hispanic Nurse Association, there is a Native American Nurse Association, so there's different nursing organizations based on that as well. That has, okay, so if you go in your Loud Cloud under course, under task, there is the 4th item down on my screen anyway. It says identification of professional meeting, and then it has suggestions right there with the links in it. Okay, so that gives you different choices. There's 7 listed there. 2 of those are New Mexico. But there's choices there where you can begin and see if you can identify a meeting to attend to from that. But like I said, there's other possibilities too, like Hispanic Nurses Association and Native American. There may be an African American one. I'm not aware of it, but that's possible. And then a lot of your specialties have their own individual things. Like I said, the primary one I would suggest is definitely going to the State Board of Nursing. It's very educational, and you really do learn a lot about how nursing is governed from that. So I don't know everyone's calendars when you're all in class and what the interests are out there. I'm sure individual professors can help you too, but it's something that we don't just say go to this meeting. It's something that you're given the opportunity to explore and research and find out about what is out there.
Okay, thank you. I think there is another question here that says, just to clarify, the benchmark paper, so this is something else, the benchmark paper needs to be on someone famous or a known nurse leader, or can it be on a nurse we know?
It has to be, well, how are you going to cite a nurse you know? How are you going to cite that as references? Because this is a research paper, an APA paper, so you wouldn't just interview like your Aunt Mary, who's a nurse, and write about it, even if they've contributed nursing, because you do, it is a research paper. So I would suggest you can do a historical figure or a present day figure, either one, but it needs to be a nurse that has been a leader in the profession. So it's up to 1,000-word paper, and so really you might want to look at the rubric and see what the requirements of that are too, because it's not an interview format. It's not find someone that you know and interview, because it's considered the research paper. And I would think the first week and the first week's reading, I know at least in my class, I bring out a number of nurses that were very influential that were not in the reading, but there's some other, through the additional readings from the syllabus and other nurses that have been significant in history. I have had students come up with all kinds of different nurses that I was not aware of before, but they were able to research them and give me the information that met the assignment requirements.
All right, did I ask this question of you yet or not? It says, can you expound more about journal writings, topics? Is it in Word or do we need a journal?
No, I think I did. Yeah, okay. Make a Word document and place it in the Dropbox.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, then the only other question on here, there was a student wondering if what we were talking about was a paper or, I think you covered that when you just reminded them of the assignment. So the only other question after that is wondering where the recording will be available within 24 hours after the session concludes, and that information will be sent out to you soon. So I'm not sure if this first week if I will have your faculty members post the information as to where to locate the recording in the LMS, or if it will be sent out to you when you at the conclusion of the webinar. There's usually an email that we can send out to all participants and anybody who registers within a couple of days. So I would have that set to go out in one day if so that might be another way to get the information out to you, but we will communicate that out by tomorrow. All right, so
this is a fun class, everyone, so have fun in it.
Yeah, there is one other question.
Okay.
One other question relating to the significant historical nurse, and it says, are you going to put restrictions on how many people choose each significant historical nurse? For example, say multiple people want to write their paper on Nightingale. Are you going to put a limit on how many people can pick her?
You know what, I don't in my cohorts, and that's up to your own professors, but I don't see any reason to limit that. I mean, everyone usually has different interests, and I have not limited in the past, and I've always had a good variety. So I think you should write about someone you're interested in myself. So that's my personal thing, but your professor probably should have covered that for you. If you're not in my group, I would just ask them in questions for the instructor if if they send around a sign-up sheet and you were supposed to pick, from different ones, then that they have that option if they want to not read every paper about the same nurse. But I haven't found that to be the case. I found a number of different people have been written about in each cohort.
All right, thank you. And then there's a question that says, when is the benchmark paper due? And I believe that would be found in the course, in the LMS. Is that correct?
That's an Loud Cloud too. And okay, I don't know, my screen's gone now. It's due week 3. So we're starting week 2. So you should be, like I said, already kind of deciding on who you're going to write on and begin that, because it's due probably a week from Sunday. That's just kind of going off my head, but it should be in your Loud Cloud. You should, your instructor should have covered that. It's not this coming week, but probably I think the week after this week, because it's due like on the week 3. Because the content and about historical roots of nursing was covered week 1, should have been covered week 1 in your classes, and so giving you an introduction to different nurses and the history of our profession, and then the paper being due a couple weeks after that.
All right, so thank you. I have one more, a little bit broader question this time. And the question is, how should we prepare ourselves to be successful for this course?
Well, I think the main thing is being engaged in the class. I know there's a couple of group projects, and we have, I'd like to have class discussions. I like to talk about, like when we talk about ethics, that students we talk about things that you care about, that you're interested in, that are going on. Being engaged, I think, is the biggest thing you're going to get the most out of any course that you're actually engaged in. And coming to class being prepared, having done your readings. Something I have said from the front of my class is, no one wants to be a bad nurse. You want to be a good nurse. And in order to do that, you need to gain as much knowledge as you can now. You have the opportunity while you're in school. And so doing your readings and coming to class prepared and being engaged, not just coming in to spend your time, but you have to make the effort. It's not a difficult class by any means. I think it's relatively easy, and doing your assignments and not being late. I think that's one of the big things that's a killer, because it's 10% off a day when something's late. And if you're late, that really can start hurting you. But the assignments themselves, I don't feel are very difficult. They're not a lot of critical thinking. There's not the longest paper is this first one, the nursing professional one. It's the only APA paper. The only other benchmark for this course is the aesthetic project, bringing the art and beauty of nurse together and creating something, and that is not due until the very last week of class. So with no exams and all of that, sometimes there's less incentive for students to do the readings and be engaged. But I really think that it behooves you, and if you want to be successful, is basically being engaged.
Okay, thank you. We do have more questions coming in. And 2 of the questions are regarding the nurse profession research paper. So one student was just wanting to confirm that that is the title of the assignment that we're talking about.
Yes, the nurse professional research paper is the title.
Okay.
And it's a little misleading, because it's basically writing about a nursing leader, not really named well.
Okay, and then the follow-up question to that is, may we use first person to explain why we picked the nurse we did?
It's always preferable, like in a paper that's academic, and to refrain from using your first person. You can say things like, this nurse was chosen because, without using personal pronouns. Try to avoid personal pronouns. When you do the nursing philosophy paper, which is due near the end of the course, that's different. Then you would use a lot of personal pronouns, because it's your personal philosophy and your personal belief system. But for this first paper, try to avoid that.
All right, the questions have stopped coming in.
Okay, well, sit back and enjoy it. Learn as much as you can. It can be a fun class. There are some drier topics that they're really important. It's important to understand them, and I think all your instructors are able to make it meaningful and kind of come alive, even when they're not the most exciting topics. But then we have some very interesting topics as well. So, good luck, and yeah, please send, if you have more questions or if you want something different from this, please send myself or Stephanie a message about that so I can be prepared to offer that next week. Otherwise, I think we'll just follow the same format, kind of review what's coming up in the course and letting you ask questions.
All right, thank you very much for attending. And once the recording is available online, you will be notified through your course faculty, and also possibly through the webinar RSVP. And this will be another question that just came in, is Mondays at 1. And I said, and the answer is yes, these are going to be Mondays at 1, but they're not every Monday every week. It will be, I believe it's scheduled for every other week, but if we do find that there is a great need and a great desire for additional sessions, then we can look at the schedule and figure out when we can add some additional sessions.
Well, right, and you know what, everyone also has the option to do questions to the professor and use the individual form on a daily basis. We look at those and try to respond to those. So you don't have to wait every 2 weeks if you have questions, especially if it's something that your professor may have, like a certain preference, like who you write your paper on. If there's certain ones she doesn't want you to write on, and that, then you can clarify that best with your own professor. So there's always that option, and we do have the office hours and so forth too. Okay, good luck everyone.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.